I'm over here on a beautiful afternoon. Kris and Derek just got out of the office, and I'm at 54 Morgan Way, one of my favorite little streets. It's a beautiful street. It's the place the Black Welders have called home for how many years?
Since 2008.
Yeah, 12 years.
Wow.
12 years. I remember, you may not remember, and I don't remember the sermon, but I do remember the first Sunday you came. And it was a communion Sunday. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't.
And I had spoken, I think, a little bit to Derek, so I just surmised that you're from the South. And when you came through the line, you actually had tears in your eyes. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have offended these fundamentalists, and they'll never be back. But you said something like, this was the first time you felt welcome at a communion table.
It's true. It's true. We had gone to, prior to living here, we lived in Kentucky and then in Colorado, and we'd gone to a number of churches across the span, and never, because I was born and raised Buddhist, and never was there a church that we could break bread together.
And it was interesting, not everyone will know this, and we won't go into too many details, but when you joined the church, someone was a little concerned because, you know, they kind of thought that joining the church meant you were renouncing, like, your past. And at some churches it certainly would mean that. But in at least in my theology, and as I understand the Gilford Community Church, you're not making a statement about your past, but you're affirming what's going on at this particular place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that couldn't be more true. I just think, I don't even think of it, what's the difference between a religion and a philosophy and life choices, and I think it's all one and the same. So I don't know why we have to put religion in a box.
And I think the thing I most appreciate about Buddhism is its real embrace of science. And all of the study that they have done on the brain and meditation, and like the Dalai Lama says, if ever a scientific truth conclusively contradicts something he believes, he has to let go of that belief. And I love that idea.
Especially today.
Especially today, yeah. So what have you guys been doing to stay safe and whole and healthy?
Staying home a lot.
Yeah, we had to close the office for
2 months.
2 months. It was a recommendation. So the American Dental Association recommended, it wasn't a requirement, that to try and conserve PPE and help flatten the curve, that dental offices close.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were able to open again. So we saw emergencies through that, but then we were able to open again mid-May for routine care.
Mm-hmm. With a lot of new protocols to keep everyone safe. So.
And one of the patients you saw yesterday was a little late.
Yeah, he was.
That was me. I get a text message the day before saying I have an appointment, and I just assume it was with my oral surgeon. So I'm sitting at the oral surgeon by the hospital in her office.
On time.
On time, a couple minutes early. And I'm waiting for them to come out and get me. And then I go to the text message and I hit call the number, and it's Winnisquam Dental. And I don't like being late, but I was about 8 minutes late.
But he called to let us know, so we let it slide this time.
There's no late fee there.
No
huh?
late fee this
There's a
time.
grace period
It's
for
an excuse.
Yeah,
that
well,
population.
the Black Welders are amongst the most generous people to ever have come to our church, and we just so appreciate all that you do, and your children. And I know that Clark has helped out a couple times with Isaiah 61 Cafe.
Yeah, he's enjoyed that.
He's enjoyed that a lot, yeah. We just love how service is so important to the church, very honestly. The church doesn't talk a big talk, but I think it walks a big walk, and that's kind of what draws us to it.
And he was disappointed that there was no mission trip this year.
Yes.
We were,
Because they were going to the Bahamas.
Right, that was going to be his first one, so that's all right.
Yeah, I think the plan right now, because there'll probably still be a need in the Bahamas next year, would be just to pick up and go back there.
If they'll take us.
If they'll take us. They may not take us.
But hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully things will change by then. So how did the two of you meet, and how did you end up in Gilford?
How'd we meet?
We met in dental school.
Yeah.
Okay, you went to
First
the
day of
University of
dental.
Louisiana.
Louisville.
Louisville.
Louisville. Yep.
Louisville.
You have to say it right, Louisville.
Louisville.
We met at
the first
lunch
day.
the first day.
Yep.
I went and sat beside her. We had pizza.
And you both have good teeth.
Both have pretty good teeth.
He thought I was from Georgia. I'm
Yeah.
actually from Chicago. So, and then after school we served for the Indian Health Service for a couple years. So we lived out west in Colorado in the Four Corners area. So we served for the Navajo Nation. And that's where Clark was born, actually.
So when did you get married?
So we got married in
05.
04.
04.
We
04.
graduated in 05.
Okay, so you got married while you were finishing up
While
dental
we were
school.
in school. Yep.
And I know that Derek went to a school that plays a little basketball.
Yeah.
University of North Carolina.
Yep.
And Chris, where did you go?
I mean, we play basketball too at the University of Illinois.
Oh, you do?
There was
Yeah.
a championship.
We beat them in 03.
We don't speak of that.
That's right. I should have remembered that because we talk sometimes when Michigan State will play
That's
Illinois.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Big Ten. And how do we end up in Gilford? So
We went backpacking in the White Mountains.
in 2003.
Summer of 2003. And we just really liked the area.
Had either of you ever been to New Hampshire before that?
No. Some friends were getting married in Connecticut, and so we took planned a trip and backpacked the
Presidential Range.
presidential range.
Yep.
And I liked growing up outside of a city. I wanted proximity to a city, and so this really.
So
fit
that
the
would be
bill.
Laconia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tilton.
And I wanted small town
So,
because I grew up in a small town in the South. So
and to be honest, when we first moved to Guilford in 2008, we were just associates. We rented a house next to the Mercers, and weren't 100% sure that this is where it was going. This is going to be home, and the church is a huge factor in why we solidified this as our home. It was
that's
definitely
wonderful.
meant to be.
Despite the fact that the Mercers were your neighbors,
that's
huh?
the fact. Yeah, we got over that.
Goodness.
So what are your kids up to this summer?
Not much.
Well, I know something's going on tomorrow.
This week, however, they are both at a theater camp. So the One Light Theater in Tilton is doing a week-long theater camp, and they're actually presenting their production tomorrow night, shameless plug, at Surratt Park. Is that right, Surratt? In Northfield at 7 o'clock. So it's Charlie Brown. It's open in a park, so we can maintain social distancing. So Clark is serving as a techie for it, and Bryn is going to be Woodstock.
Oh,
and
very
if
cool.
ever there was a more animated Woodstock,
I love it.
she is it.
I
Yes.
actually have a wedding rehearsal tomorrow night, but we will make a plug. We'll get the information and
At the
we'll,
wedding?
We'll include it. We'll include it in the daily
Actually,
email
Carly
tomorrow.
Lyons is, I believe she's Linus in the production. So.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah.
Any other kids from the?
I don't believe so. I'd regret if I forgot someone, but I don't think so.
And a couple years ago, you bought a little place on one of the islands.
Yeah, so I always have to qualify it that my mother passed away unexpectedly, and so we sold her house, and rather than paying off our student loans, we bought a little place over in Alton on Rattlesnake Island.
Oh.
And it has been a real sanctuary for us.
I'll bet it
Yeah.
has been. I saw some. Well, in fact, I won't say that because that video hasn't been released yet.
Oh, well,
That's true.
coming.
You know, I come home every day and I say to Cindy, "Have the Black Welders invited us out to the island?" And she said, "No, honey, not today." And then finally she started saying, "They have seen what's inside your mouth and they don't want it on the island."
Oh my goodness.
No, open invite.
Absolutely.
And we did a little service for your mom right out here.
Right out
Okay,
here.
yeah.
Yep. So you were kind enough to, and our friends here in the Buddhist tradition celebrated her 49th day after passing, has a significance, and you were kind enough to come and yeah, be together with us. That was really special.
That was a nice night.
Thank you.
And just the last thing, explain how you named your son Clark. Clark. I love the story behind this name.
So in Chicago, Wrigley Field is at the intersection of Clark and Addison. So I made a big push for Bryn to be an Addison, but that didn't fly. With a last name like Blackwelder, I think you need a monosyllabic first name. So Bryn suits her. Yes. Yep.
So I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, what's on the agenda the rest of the day?
Well,
Get
there's-
our kids from camp.
get the kids from camp.
And at the elementary school, or where do they go?
They're over in Tilton for
Okay.
this theater camp.
Oh, that's right.
So they're not far. And then, well, there's always chicken duties. There's
And I understand you saw a bobcat this morning.
There was a bobcat right by the chicken coop there. Yep, it's the first one we've seen. But I guess the electric fence is doing its job because he
Yeah.
ran off. But
So
yeah,
there was a little drool on his chin, I understand.
I think so. After some white meat, probably.
Wow.
Yeah. But the girls are safe. We have 14 now.
14.
they tear up the landscape.
They tear up
Yeah.
everything, but
Yeah.
they're worth it.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for letting me come over.
Well, thank
And I
you.
just wish you guys the best. And I look forward at some point seeing you on a Sunday morning at 19 Potter Hill Road.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing these videos. It's been interesting getting to hear everybody's stories and their journeys, and almost like a virtual coffee hour. So thank you for doing these.
Awesome. And thanks for all you guys do. Keep up the good
Pleasure.
work.
Thank you.
Oh, darn it. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. I know one of the things that we have talked about a lot in the past, Kris, especially on a day when maybe Clark is,
13.
13.
Teenager.
Hey, teenagers, doing what normal 13-year-olds would do. Drive their parents. That's the mission statement at 13, right? Drive mom and dad crazy. And, at every baptism, I always say something like this. There will come a time when you think your parents are out of their mind. And every child needs responsible, committed, caring adults who will be there in their corner no matter what happens. When they end up at the police station or their name appears in the paper for less than noble things. And I know that we have talked about a number of families whose kids are just, kids you want your kids to be. But I would be willing to bet that if you talk to Lisa Buckley or Mae Stewart, or the
Sue Ross.
Gingricks or Sue Ross, when their kids were 13, they would have said, it's when we started drinking.
No, it's so true. And I think that was another reason why when we looked around at the families that are in the pews, the Sawyers, all these fantastic, beautiful families with kids that are just likable and fun, and never mind their academics or athletics, just really nice humans. The quality of families that are either drawn to the church or guided by the church, whatever it is, I'll hope that our church can help compensate for my parental shortcomings.
Yeah, you want to surround your kids with those examples of how to be as you grow up.
And you've seen
To
that
help.
on the scholarship committee
Scholarship committee, there's some amazing
Unbelievable.
kids.
Yep.
And some amazing kids in our church.
that are doing really great things.
Now, as the pastor of the church, and two of our daughters, Katie and Holly, were pretty much grown up by the time we moved here, but CJ wasn't. And one thing that CJ always appreciated about the church was that the Wixon boys really set a low bar. The standard was very low. And so he loved that they took all the pressure off of him for behaving himself.
Well, the children in our church have not set a low bar.
No, they haven't set the low
The
bar.
Blackwelder children have much to do, and that's a good thing.
Yep. Well, thanks so much. Take care.